This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
Yeah, there's something about the original Zendrives. I've owned all the different ones. I have a Love Pedal Zendrive 2 here now that was supposedly Alphonse Hermita's most recent design for Love Pedal. And I have my own pedal that was designed with David Barber that does the ODS thing, frankly, better than anything I've had before. But there's something unique about the original Zendrive. It's a chirpiness or an attack to the notes. And the original ones seem to be the only ones that have it. That's pretty much it.
So I was playing with my Pro Reverb there at the intro and the Zendrive, and I was thinking like I need to shut up about the Zendrive because I've been talking about it quite a lot since I got one. So I wanted to do kind of one sort of last video, looking into it a little bit, talking about it a little bit, but also getting some of your opinions. So that was Keith from 5 Watt World, obviously, who I was just chatting to him a couple of days ago, and I said, and he had pointed out, you know, that I've been playing the Zendrive and stuff, and he kind of, yeah, had an interesting point, I think. And it kind of rejigged in his mind, like the thought of the original Zendrive. I think he had an original Zendrive, and the idea was that he sold it because David Barber, at the time, this was a while back, has a bus pedal which he actually reissued with Keith, and I think he A/B'd them and found them, you know, that there was stuff about the David Barber thing that he, for whatever reason, then decided the Zendrive was possible for it to go. I guess the first thing I would say is that at the end of this video, you're going to see me compare it to a Tube Screamer and the Keith David Barber bus, which has an ODS kind of setting, where it is kind of doing that same thing that the Zendrive was initially supposed to do. And if you don't know about that, essentially Alfonso set out to make a pedal which sounds like Robin Ford's lead tone. And it ended up being a pedal that Robin Ford used, right? And so that's kind of the story of the Zendrive. It doesn't need to be much longer than that.
So Jake here, hi. I got this Zendrive after trying Robin Ford's. I was lucky enough to try out Robin Ford's into his rig.
Jake knows it.
And honestly, I just felt like I'd not really heard a pedal quite do what this does. In that it's incredibly touch responsive. There's quite a tight low end in it, but it's not lacking in bass, but it's just very tight. And I found that in conjunction with the fact that it's still got quite a sort of fizzy high end actually helps you to get heard like really well in a band mix without, you know, cutting off a load of low end, like, you know, a Tube Screamer or something similar to that would. I do find it somewhat similar to my TS10, but I think the clipping is quite different, and therefore it sort of feels quite different to play, to me at least, than, you know, something like a TS10 or a TS808. And yeah, it's been on my board since I got it. I've done quite a few gigs with it now, probably 10 or so gigs with this in the last few weeks. And yeah, I really enjoy it. And I do find that it sounds quite different to the Love pedal one that John had before. I don't know why, as I assume they're exactly the same circuit, but I just find that this one works better for me. And I know that this one also varies to John's original one that he got recently. Again, no idea why that is, but yeah, just a big fan of this pedal. It's great, works for me, and I love it.
The circuit, what I like to do kind of when I'm looking into some of this stuff is kind of Google Zendrive schematic or Zendrive schematic analysis and comparisons, and kind of see what because there's like a big DIY pedal modding and pedal building community, and see, because there's some guys that will do some circuit analysis. I think DIY pedals might be one of them, and they'll tell you essentially, you know, right, this part of the circuit does this, and you know, whether there's another pedal out there that is quite similar. So the Tube Screamer is not totally dissimilar, and I think you can hear that when you hear them side by side. There are, however, some differences, and I think they're mostly around the clipping diodes themselves. I think are different, and also I think this lacks the input buffering of a Tube Screamer, which is why this actually can be a bit more variable when you plug in a Strat versus a Les Paul. It kind of reacts to guitars a little bit more differently, you know. Anyway, so I put out the twat signal on Instagram and asked what you guys thought, and so I just wanted to share that as well.
My thoughts on Zendrive. I'm writing a book, so having that much storage is great, and the police can't get into it. Zendrive. I don't think she's as good at being Mary Jane as Kirsten Dunst, but she seems excellent in June and seems happy with Tom Holland, so all power to her. Why?
There's been a couple of people that have said that they've tried the reissues and they're not quite the same. Now, I have to say that when I actually had some of the reissue ones, I didn't get on with them, but time works in funny ways. So I don't know whether I can rely on my memory of them. But if you check forums and stuff, there's a kind of mixed bag on whether people think they stack up or not. Where is this video? So, the first question was, isn't a Tube Screamer with slightly different EQ? And it's not that, but it is also not totally that. So it is Tube Screamer-esque. Yes, the EQ, it can be set a bit brighter. The tone knob on here, I think, is different in that it's a high pass. This voice knob as well rolls off bass and adds gain as you increase that. So it's a bit different to a Tube Screamer in a few ways, but a Tube Screamer can get you in the ballpark. Jeff said, I have an original one. David Carlson asked, I haven't tried it yet. Is it a clone or anything, or does it have clones? Now, the Zendrive is much cloned. So you can find, cloned versions of it. Warm Audio make a particularly cheeky Zendrive clone. Obviously, the Love Pedal Zendrives are probably your best bet for the official kind of clone. What else is there? I think the guy from Vertex has done a few and then called them Dumble stuff. The Dude, I think, is somewhat Zendrive similar, but maybe not entirely. Cal P said, it was my first pedal back in 2010, and it's still my number one. Takes boost really well. I've not tried boosting in front of it. I've tried using it as a boost, and that was quite nice with the Mezapoogie Bottle Rocket. Wessel says, I don't know how you say that name. Yes, I have, and also the Zendrive 2. There was a couple of Zendrives. I think Nosferatu or Mosferatu was the first one, and then he came out with the Zendrive and Zendrive 2, and then like a Valve Zendrive as well, right? Really enjoyed it. Mattia says, I use it in the Axe Effects, great for fat, dumbbellish lead tones, and yeah, that's exactly right. But also, it's not just that they're fat, I think. It's also they've got quite a bit of top-end presence. I kind of like that sizzle stuff, right? And maybe a bit of chirp. There's also a bit of sag present in this that I don't think you quite get with the Tube Screamer. Ian Richards said, recently got an original Hamida Zendrive and love it. I didn't connect with the Love Pedal version though, so I think that's not super uncommon. DeepJimpact says, Zendrive, I barely touched her. It's a really good sound, but not for everything or every player. It doesn't do rhythm very well. And this is actually a good point. I was thinking about the Dumble stuff, because I did that video, like, I've stopped really searching for the Dumble sound, because in an amp, what do I use that lead? It's a lead sound, but most of the gig I'll either be on clean or rhythm, and the Dumble sound, or specifically like the Robin Fordy type mid-focused sound, doesn't do hugely well for rhythm tones. I think you need something a little bit more scooped, or I do certainly. So for me, like a Marshall Governor or something like that works better. So in that case, what would I actually use that lead channel for? Paul said, yes, I like it, but prefer a Timmy pedal. Now, a Timmy is another thing which is somewhat on the Tube Screamer tree, but significantly modded, similar to the Zendrive in that, yeah, it's Tube Screamer-esque, but has really gone its own way. And I think a Hamida Zendrive and original Timmy, I think those are two classic pedals that have spawned from the Tube Screamer that really do deserve to exist and deserve some praise. Another guy said, I don't know how to say that, Prima Deandra, too expensive, man, which, yeah, this one for me was £300, which I think, considering that it is like an original boutique pedal and they are, not being made anymore, is not crazy expensive. Like, it's not Klon prices, it's not, original Marshall Blues Breaker prices, it's not crazy, but it's also not super cheap, so maybe consider a clone. But I just wanted to kind of revisit it, share some more thoughts on it, and also now share some tones with you. Also, by the way, if you're interested in learning from some folks, I think TrueFire have got lessons from Robin Ford on there specifically, and a couple of courses, a few courses really. So that might be a good place to go if you're looking to get into some of Robin's playing and see it up close with really good camera angles. You could use the code JNC100 to get $100 off of their all access pass, which I think is the best way to get into TrueFire, because that means you can go through their whole library and check out courses from all of the artists on there. Not only that, you could use the code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. At the moment, I've been checking out Eric Haugen's double stop pentatonic course. Eric is a great teacher, keeps things really chilled, really simple. And he also talks about caged and stuff like that, which I've been sort of looking at because it's not something I ever learned as a kid, but it's something like a window into playing, which I think as many windows as you can get is a good thing. So anyway, JNC 100 for $100 off the masterclass, and JNC 40 to get $40 off of any individual course. Okay, so Keith told me that he sold his original Zendrive because he had a David Barber bus pedal, you know, way before he ever spoken to David, and he asked me whether I would just check out what the Zendrive sounds like next to it. Now, the most obvious thing to shoot out with the Zendrive, I think, is a tube screamer, because that is apparently what Robin was using at the time when Dumble went and saw him playing with a Bassman and a tube screamer and wanted to get that sound. This is my clean tone. So to me, it's like not exactly the same, but it's definitely not the sort of thing that... Obviously, the knobs are in different places. Then the bus with the switch on the left to the right. I could up the tone a bit. I think like the Zendrive has a bit more sizzle. And maybe there's a bit more drive on here, more volume on here. Still a bit more drive here. We've got compression settings over here. think maybe the Zendrive for me is a bit of a sweet spot that you can get close to with these other pedals, but maybe it's a little bit, I don't know, doesn't quite get to do exactly the thing.